Convex is where it goes from rounded that way to rounded that way, right? At the top of every single valley on this planet in a humid landscape. Now look, turn around, the hills are rounded, are they not? It is not a desert. It is not an arid landscape where evaporation is higher than rainfall. If it was, it would be angular. It would have pediments and scarps. You know the John Wayne movies, cowboy movies? That's where it's famous, right? So a lot of the Mediterranean is rounded, but it's become a desert in climate, but the landscape hasn't gone angular yet. Southern Spain, you know, a lot of the Mediterranean is now got a desert type climate because the trees added enough condensation drip to take it into a humid landscape. So a lot of the Mediterranean, including North Africa, which the Romans smashed with growing wheat, they're rounded hills, but the climate is desert. Over a few thousand years, it will go angular if they keep it overgrazed and not allowed forest to come back. I just want to emphasize this. There are two major landscapes in the world, profile. What you're looking at is a rounded profile. You are definitely in a rounded landscape. Right? And this is not likely to become a desert, although if we give it a real good bash, it probably could, right? So the Mediterranean is a classic switch point. And, you know, all this, you know, climate change and, you know, Spain's turning into a desert that's all it's about. Right? Condensation drip runs your Danube. Condensation drip runs all the rivers. It's not the rain. Right? So there's this switch point. I just want to overemphasize this, right? Sorry, I know it's starting to sound like a lawyer who overemphasizes every legal point, but you must get this, right? You're in a rounded landscape. So, at the top of every valley, at the top of every single valley, the water is coming over a convex surface before it transitions to a concave surface. It's a cleavage. A cleavage is like, see my fingers? Where there's a crease and then there's not a crease. That's the cleavage, right? On either side of every valley, there's a ridge. 100%. If there's not a ridge on one side of the valley, it's not a valley, it's called the side of a hill. I know it's really obvious, but people don't get taught this, right? On either side of the valley, there has to be a ridge. One ridge could be lower than the other. One ridge can be slightly different shape than the other, but there is a ridge on either side of every single valley. That's what makes it a bloody valley, right? It cannot be anything else. And sometimes you just got to learn the absolute obvious. Right? At the top of every valley, there's only two things can possibly be there. And so it's that simple. The landscape's that simple. It's either the top of a hilltop, or it's another ridge. It's a valley coming off the side of a ridge. If you look at your map here, there is a big ridge here, right, with saddles in it. So if we go up here, you can see above, the valley doesn't go to the top. There must be a point where this hollow going up the valley or coming down the valley hits concave to convex. You still, in between my knuckles, right, that's like a ridge. There's still a cleavage in there when I clench my fist, but I'm still in the valley in the concave, and then I get to the, still in the valley in the convex, but then it becomes the concave. This is the key point. This is the highest point you can hold water. If the geology is right and everything. It won't be the biggest dam. This is a huge dam for the size of the water, but the highest point is up there. That is a planning point. That is a planning point. This is the key line farming identification of landscape. This is P.A. Yeoman's Water for Every Farm, 1940s, defined this as key line farming, right? And it's really important to know where it is and to be able to find it. So if we go to the top of the valley, if it's not too treed, and we walk down it, we'll be walking over a concave surface. So if I use the side here, and this is not a key point, but just as a demonstration, as I'm walking over there, I don't walk on my heels. Naturally, if you just relax, you start to walk on the balls of your feet because you need to balance, right? I'm on the balls of my feet. I'm on my heels. It's there, it's within that step and that step. I'm going from convex, convexed, I'm on convexed, I'm on concave. It's right here somewhere. You can get it easily within half a meter. We can stay in the bottom of the valley and walk up until that happens. And then you can turn around and walk back down and go, oh, it's just here. It's just at that point, at the top of that valley. Every single valley in Hungary has one, no exceptions. Unless someone's come in and done a load of earthworks and changed the landscape for a little while before the erosion puts it back. Erosion will put it back.
So it works the opposite way in dry landscapes then?
Dry lands are different. Dry lands are angular, they're shaped with heat and they're shaped with wind and massive rain events very quickly. A desert is a flood waiting to happen and usually gets half its annual rainfall in 4 hours. Jordan, where I work in the Dead Sea Valley, averages 150 millimeters of rain. It usually gets 75 mil in 4 hours. It's a different game in that. It's like, because you're in an angular landscape. There are minor landscapes. There are volcanic landscapes formed by volcanic actions, and they're at particular angles. There are high islands and low islands. There are flatlands like the prairies, and there are coasts and estuaries. They're all minor landscapes. They're interesting. We often live on them, right? But the majority of the world, which we get out there and destroy and like act very unsubtly on like that, right? is humid and arid. The major part of the world is humid and arid. They're very much the major landscape profiles. The profile, like the profile of your face. You know? Profile, we're talking profiles now. They are shaped by climatic action. That's the energy that shaped them. Then you get the minor landscapes. High islands, which stand right up. The largest high continental island is Madagascar. The low islands, which are either sand or coral, have a particular design. You have to approach them in particular ways. You know? Then you have very, very flat lands like the prairies and the savannas, which you have very large herds of animals, large herds moving quickly over large flat areas. And then you have wetlands, which are your swamps, which the chinampas fit on, and other than the particular ways you approach them. And then you have coasts, which are salt, wind, and alkaline, like the deserts. Deserts are alkaline, humid landscapes are acid, generally. You know, you can generalize a lot in permaculture. You can generalize an awful lot and then find specifics. There's very large generalization. This is what will give the children a lot of hope. They can read the world, no problem. They can be planetary citizens. You can be a global designer and you can think globally and act locally anywhere on the planet.